Mayor Jacob Frey absolutely beclowned himself and lied when he said that the ICE officer's injury who shot and killed Renee Good in self-defense because he was hit by the vehicle she was driving. He came out and said the other day, if you remember this, it was just a small hip injury like he's operating a refrigerator.
I mean, the ICE agent walked away with a hip injury that he might as well have gotten from closing a refrigerator door with his hips. He was not injured.
He was injured. In fact, he has internal bleeding. He went was admitted to a hospital and indeed has had internal bleeding, so he was injured. After all, when you get hit by a car, you're going to have internal bleeding. If you watch one of the podcasts I did last week from Thursday, I think it was, or Wednesday, I had the repeating over and over again slow motion video from the front passenger side of the vehicle. You could see it from about a quarter of a block away. He is hit and pushed back. I don't know how many feet, but he's hit and pushed back for at least a full second. And that's why he's shot, because he was being hit by a loaded weapon, in this case a heavy, multiple thousands of pounds of a vehicle. And remember, her radical wife said, "Drive, baby, drive." She ordered her to drive, baby, drive, and she did, and that's why she hit this agent, and that's why she died. Of course, remember, she said, "This is my fault. I made her come down here." Now, here's the details on the officer being injured. By the way, the fund, which is on my Twitter feed if you'd like to donate for ICE Officer Jonathan Ross, has gone up to $733,000, which I think is fantastic. He was hospitalized after the incident and released later that day, reports the New York Post. CBS News they first broke it, citing 2 U.S. officials familiar with his medical condition. It turns out, J.D. Vance said today, our vice president, ramming a law enforcement officer with a car causes injuries. Shocker. Shocker, indeed. Renee Good's father-in-law, this is not her dad. Some people thought it was her dad. Some fake news CNN had on Renee Good's father-in-law. So this was from a previous marriage, the father, and he was asked, and boy, did she try, what's her name, Erin, I think her name was Erin Brown or something of that nature, but she's one of the CNN hosts, and she literally said, tried to over and over again ask him, wasn't it the ICE agent's fault? Isn't it the ICE agent's fault? Didn't the ICE agent do it over and over again? And he would not take the bait at all.
No, nothing about charges or anything like that, just an investigation into what happened in terms of the ICE agent's actions. But they were, according to the prosecutors resigning today, pressuring them to investigate Renee's actions and Becca, her wife's actions. How do you feel about all that?
Well, I'm not blaming anybody. I mean, it's a hard situation all the way around. It's hard for everybody involved. I mean, the ICE agent, at first I didn't see the footage where, he was actually, he was actually being ran. I mean, I seen the bump of the car hitting his legs.
Excuse me, what? He was being rammed? Are you kidding me?
And so, in a flash like that, it's hard to say how you would react. From my understanding, that he had been through that before, maybe dragged or something. And so, like I said, it's just a hard situation for everybody. Becca, she's a great.
She's sitting there and she's going, "Please say it was his fault. Please say he murdered my former daughter-in-law."
Person as well. I mean, I don't have any enemies. I love everybody, and that's what the Bible tells us: love our neighbors as we love ourselves. But I think there's some bad choices, and the word says, "For the wrath of God will come upon the children of disobedience." And it's I don't blame ICE, I don't blame Rebecca, I don't blame Renee. I just wish that if we're walking the Spirit of God, I don't think she would have been there.
I don't think she would have been there. Not only did he not get it's the ICE officer's fault, the ICE officer murdered my former daughter-in-law, but she shouldn't have been there in the first place. Too bad. So sad. Didn't get what they want. Oh, this is a great one. I have to play you this one. This happened today. Every single one of these violent people that is surrounding ICE, intimidating ICE, stopping ICE, assaulting ICE, including, you're going to hear from some officers in a minute who had urine thrown on them and urine thrown in their cars today while they were doing their jobs, ICE agents. But every one of these bleeps who is chasing around, harassing, and circling and obfuscating ICE, and or worse, like this lady you're about to see a video of, every one of these people needs to be arrested, and they're doing it a lot. The numbers are higher and higher, which I'll get to in a minute. But let me first play this. This is this woman. She is a total, by the way, she's lying and saying, I've just got to go to a doctor's office. I'm going to a doctor's appointment. She's a liar. She's an activist. I'll give you the details in a second, but watch this. This unfolded today. And my favorite part in this scene is when ICE cuts her seatbelt. She cuts the seat. They cut her seatbelt and yank her out of the car, which is exactly what you should do, what they should do when people are obfuscating and getting in the way of ICE. Here we go. They're going to yank her out of the car. She won't come. Watch. She was blocking them in. They couldn't go anywhere. She's lying, saying she's got a doctor's appointment here. Yank her out. That's what you get. Watch this. They're going to cut the seatbelt. Watch this. I'm trying to go to the doctor's office. She said. Watch this. Boom. Bye-bye. So what they do here is they insert themselves artificially, intentionally. They obfuscate, they stop ICE, they impede, they interfere with them, and then they pretend they're a victim. This woman is a social justice warrior and a radical leftist, which you'll hear about in a second from the Daily Mail. They got her whole MO, her whole history, but let's continue on. She, as you may or may not have heard, I was kind of talking over, but she says, I got to go to the doctor's office. I just want to go to the doctor's office. Liar. Here. Every one of them. You stop the car, you go get them, and you yank them out, and you cuff them and stuff them. She did not have to go to the doctor's office. She's a hardcore leftist activist. Here we go. She has a history, according to the Daily Mail, of social justice activism and interactions with police. Not good ones, by the way. She allegedly is blocking ICE agents working on capturing illegals. She cried out, I'm disabled. I'm trying to go to the doctor up there. She is a technologist and a social justice trainer. That's how she describes herself, and she says she dedicates her time to LGBTQ and racial injustice cases. That's who these people are. They're radical leftists pretending, I'm going to the doctor. No, you're not. You're an ICE Watch, Minnesota ICE Watch type of a person. You're harassing, you're obfuscating. None of this is going on in the state of Texas because we cooperate. None of this is happening in the state of Texas. Let's go on. Or for example, in Missouri, or just name it. Are you seeing Louisiana ICE was there? They surged. There were no national stories. There was no swarming. None of this crap happened in Louisiana. The list goes on and on and on. She's a registered Democrat. She threw herself into activism, says the Daily Mail. She identifies as being gender queer, shocker, and dating a transgender man. Previously pled guilty to criminal trespassing charges in Ohio, several run-ins with police while in a vehicle, including this one, while driving under the influence in 2010, guilty for following too close, stopping improperly on a stop sign, criminal trespassing, and disorderly conduct. It goes on and on and on. So there you go. They arrested so far, look at this, and just in the past couple of days, this is so good. Last 5 days, they've arrested 60, at least 60. Keep it up. Keep it up. Surge them. This is a tactic done by the mayor, the governor, and the radical leftists there because it's a sanctuary city. Let's continue on. Obama, former President Hussein Obama. CNN was a lot more friendly when there was enforcement from the Hussein Obama administration. This is from 2016. Ain't no big thing. They're riding along with ICE. ICE is great because it's Hussein Obama, not Trump.
Under the cloak of darkness in Chicago,
Attack one, guys.
an immigration and customs enforcement team gears up for another long day, pursuing undocumented immigrants who have been convicted of crimes in the U.S. ICE agents mistakenly arrest the target's brother.
Oops, they mistakenly arrest the wrong guy. No big deal. Not a big deal. CNN says, oops, no big deal.
Talking to him in the vehicle, he then said, no, I'm actually so-and-so, who you're looking for is over here, that's our address, he left us that address, and we were able to actually arrest the individual.
another calm day when it is on the Hussein Obama administration doing the deportation and doing the ride-alongs with ICE. Not now. Let me continue on. The 14 suburban moms were arrested recently, the other day, after sitting in the road outside the ICE facility in Broadview, Illinois. It's in Chicago. They told a local outlet they were using their privilege as white women. Yes, their privilege as white women. But if that were the case and white women's privilege worked, why is Rachel Good dead? Not trying to make fun of her death, but why is she dead? The white privilege didn't work. My gosh. I need to try to use my white privilege when I get pulled over on a stop, huh? Okay, you want some real Orwellian stuff? You want some crazy stuff? Watch this. This is so outrageously hysterical. Talking about white privilege and white women. This is this crazy leftist Joy Reid. Watch this.
This woman was part of a group of people who they trained to try to be ICE interrupters. And what they try to do is observe what ICE is doing, film them.
ICE interrupters. You'll hear about that more because they physically assault ICE. That's what the training is. ICE interrupters, they don't just film. They hurt, they attack, they obfuscate, and they block. But let's go on here because Joy Reid's about to tell you about white ladies are the secret recipe for stopping ICE.
And try to use their white privilege, to be honest. They're mainly white people.
Which is what we ask.
Which is what we ask. Because black people, like, we can't get on. We can't put our bodies on the line because cops will shoot us.
Yeah, that's exactly right. If you are documenting ICE doing their job and you're black, you'll just be shot and killed. That's just it. She's got it. How did she figure this out? My gosh, they're brilliant.
And so the presumption had been, particularly a white woman, because remember, part of the rationale for doing this with ICE is to save white women, pristine white women, from being ravaged by criminal brown men. So white women, have been taking the lead in being the ones to step.
It's so funny. There's nothing. It's so funny. There's nothing to be upset about. It is the most funniest thing in the world. The question is she that stupid, or is she doing an act? It's kind of a 50-50. She's either that stupid or she's doing an act, or both. The Justice Department, and this is real important, the Justice Department is investigating not only Renee Good's spouse, her surviving spouse, but also Minnesota ICE Watch, because I believe this is a conspiracy. I believe they'll do a conspiracy case because somebody's funding this, but not even funding it. They're also telling a group of people, and I believe this crosses state lines, and if that happens, it becomes a federal offense. For example, prostitution is not a federal offense unless it crosses state lines while you're doing the operation. That's how they got P. Diddy. It's called the Mann Act. So I do believe this could be a conspiracy case. I'm not a lawyer. I am on the radio and on podcasts, so that does mean I'm really, really smart. So this is brain surgery. But I actually believe this is a conspiracy case. When you find out where these instructions are coming from, where these groups are, who's financing it, I think you might be able to get something like that. I'll explain more in a second. The Justice Department is reportedly planning to look into a wide group of activists who took part in a Minneapolis neighborhood ICE Watch activity, believing they were instigators of the shooting. Now, let's go to, this just came out from the New York Post in the past 24 hours. Renee Good's Minnesota ICE Watch group shared manual detailing how to fight arrest and launch into a micro-intifada. Instructions on fighting police officers to free arrested radicals from their grasp, comparing each de-arrest to a micro-intifada. The de-arrest primer manual was reposted on Instagram by Minnesota ICE Watch in June, teaching members how to disrupt, not document, disrupt law enforcement officers. That is obstruction of justice. They say the best kind of grip, look at this, the best kind of grip to use while yanking somebody in custody out of ICE's hands, or even suggestions of pushing and pulling an officer off an arrestee, that's assault. Technically speaking, it says, for pushing them off, you should have a low center of gravity and a wide base and push up explosive power with your head up at all times as possible. I mean, this is absolute assault. For breaking a grip, try striking the grip. Wham, that's assault. While warning that they warn their members that can be construed as assault in court. It's not construed as, it is assault. Another tactic they teach for Minnesota ICE Watch encourages readers to open unlocked doors of law enforcement vehicles containing suspects to let them out. How highly illegal do you think that is? Going up to a car with an illegal locked up in custody in a car, you open the door and set them free. That's obviously a crime. This is a move they acknowledge, quote, could be considered a crime. Well, it is. The final tactic, quote, totally surrounding the officers or otherwise blocking them and their vehicle and chanting, let them go. This is the same crap you saw with that woman who they cut the seatbelt out and yanked her out. This is all trained. This is all pre-scripted. And it's intentional pandemonium so that they can get the cops, the ICE officers, to do something they don't want to see them do. And then say they're the victim. The final tactic says, it's totally surrounding them, otherwise blocking them or their vehicle and chanting, let them go until law enforcement officers cave to the mounting pressure. Quote, this has come out of the Palestine Solidarity Campus occupations. Again, are these all being funded by the same people? I would not be surprised, would you? Each de-arrest is a, quote, shaking off, which is to say each one is a micro-intifada which can spread and inspire others until we may finally shake off this noxious ruling altogether. Now, the definition of intifada from the Anti-Defamation League says, intifada is two distinct historical periods in which terrorists committed acts of violence against Israeli civilians, including suicide bombings, shootings, and stabbings, targeting people on city buses, eating in restaurants or out at nightclubs, resulting in over 1,000 people killed. That's what they're coaching them on, intifada tactics. Now, this is so important right now. This is, if you only remember one thing, this is it. In July, I think it was, in July of last year, 2025, the Democrats, a whole bunch of Democrats with anonymity, told Axios, the leftist, left-leaning journalist outlet, they told Axios last year that they're being told to get shot for the anti-Trump resistance. This was part of their plan. Miss Renee Good being shot and killed, that's part of their plan. Look, Axios reported, Democrat members of Congress are facing a growing thrum of demands to break the rules, fight dirty, and not be afraid to get hurt. House Democrats told Axios they're seeing a growing anger among their base that has in some cases morphed into a disregard for American institutions, even the rule of law. Another told Axios that a sense of fear and despair and anger among voters puts us in a different position where, with many requesting anonymity to offer candid insights about their interactions with constituents and advocates. And activists, I should say. For months, Democrat lawmakers has fumed that their base's demands to fight harder. Quote, we've got people who are desperately wanting us to do something. No matter what we say, they want more. The grassroots wants more. Some of them have suggested that we really need to do is to be willing to get shot. And then when visiting ICE facilities or federal agencies, be willing to get shot. Quote, people online have sent me crazy S-word, told me to storm the White House and stuff like that. So these people are insurrectionists. These people are literally doing what Victor Davis Hanson wrote in a column, and then separately in the same week I was filling in Chicago, the Chicago Contrarian wrote, this is exactly what happened in the Civil War, where they fired on Fort Sumter. This is exactly what happened when JFK and Eisenhower sent in troops to force integration of our colleges and our schools. It's the same thing. These are now the insurrectionists. These are the insurrectionists. And what else do I have for you here? I've got some more video. I want you to laugh. We have to laugh. I found a couple of things that absolutely will bring you a nice laugh. First, though, let's do this first. Here's the ICE officers today that had bottles of, quote, piss thrown at them and their vehicle.
You said someone threw a bottle full of piss at you? Is that what? You want it? You're okay with it?
Somebody threw a bottle of piss and it went all inside the vehicle too, and all over me.
So that's the kind of stuff they're dealing with today and every day. Now let's have some laughs. This is the best thing in the world. This is a moron who is from Madison, Wisconsin. Shocker. He dresses up like Paul Bunyan. He gets GoPro cams, and he goes out. He drives 4 hours to Minneapolis to defend a Mexican restaurant and grocery store. He just drives out there. He's standing in front of there, and somehow MSNBC, MS Now is there with a camera to record this fool who drives. He's standing in front of a Mexican restaurant. Nobody's there. I'm here defending this Mexican restaurant. I am not kidding you. This is the funniest freaking thing in the world. Watch this.
Paul, you came in from Madison, Wisconsin. That's a long drive. Help explain to me why you're here outside of this business right now.
I think the graphics should say, useful idiot. Poor white man, useful idiot.
So I'm out here right now because this business put out a call for people to stand on this corner to watch the business for them. They've been really worried about reopening. They were shut down for the past 5 days after ICE was here, and they just aren't comfortable just doing this on their own.
So he's standing there by himself with a cameraman and a reporter, and there's nobody there, and he's just standing there. White fool standing in front of a Mexican restaurant should be. I mean, there's nothing going on. I love this. This literally. I was getting ready for the morning show that I was filling in for on Premier Radio Networks yesterday morning, and I saw this, and I just laughed so hard. My wife was sleeping. It was like 4:30 in the morning. I could not believe I was seeing this.
And this is a Mexican restaurant and grocery store. And Paul, I see that you have a lot of equipment on you. You have a camera, obviously. You have another GoPro back here.
Paul, no one is there. Nobody's outside, and you're standing alone, and you are protecting a Mexican restaurant, Paul. I mean, these are the morons out there.
You've got this acts as a whistle, you were telling me, and you've also got a first aid kit.
First aid kit and a whistle. He's got the rape whistle. The Democrats, they said if our daughters are getting sexually assaulted, take this whistle instead of a gun. So he's got his rape whistle. He's got some cameras, and I mean, this is a freaking Halloween costume. This should be made. They should sell these as Halloween costumes. You can get here. Let's go.
It would be easy to understand.
You could get your your Nikon camera, fake one hanging off your front there. You can get the rape whistle, some shades, your Paul Bunyan outfit, and a fake beard, and there you have it. So I mean, that to me is the funniest freaking thing that we have seen so far. What else do we have here? Okay, here we go. Is this a parade? This is in the streets of Minneapolis. So somebody had put that this was like a nice protest. It looks like a nice parade, a Native American parade. Not as funny as the white guy, but still nonetheless some comedic resolve. Let's do this too. I want to show you. This is Jacob Frey, the mayor of Minneapolis, on the Bulwarks podcast. And he seriously entertains arresting ICE officers while they're doing their job enforcing federal law. Can't make this up.
You're basically asking, can our cops arrest them?
Yeah.
From a legal perspective, yes. From a practical perspective, to state the reality, it does get kind of hard when they drastically outnumber us and they have bigger guns than we do.
They do not have bigger guns than you. What are they using? AR-15s? If I've never seen them with one, they don't have bigger guns. He literally, though, is seriously entertaining arresting ICE agents, which is literally like the Civil War. It is a Civil War. It's an insurrection. So, yes, I am seriously entertaining it, but they have bigger guns. They do not have bigger guns. I would submit to you that the police department of Minneapolis probably has just as much big guns as ICE does, perhaps more because it's a major city, very large city, and they've got anti-terrorism task force and paramilitaristic equipment. Maybe not though because of St. George Floyd. Blessed be his name, who died from drug overdose while in the custody of Minneapolis police. Maybe they've been neutered so much so. I know they have they're like 1/3 short of what they should be because of that. They've destroyed that department. Let's do a little bit more with Jacob Frey.
It does, and here's the thing: we don't want to create warfare in the street. We want to keep our communities safe. We're trying our very best to do that.
All right. I want to do this too. I'm sure you heard that Larry Ellison, the Attorney General of the state of Minnesota, along with Jacob Frey and Minneapolis and St. Paul, they filed a lawsuit to try to stop ICE. Right after, this is great because you'll see former Hennepin County prosecutor Amy Klobuchar, senator, talking, and like this is about oh, we're suing ICE, it's an invasion. And it's funny because the illegals are the ones who invaded this country and invaded Minnesota and all of this country. 8 to 20 million in the 4 years of Joe Biden. But so you have Minneapolis, St. Paul, and this state of Minnesota suing to try to stop ICE from being there, saying it's an invasion. And former Hennepin County prosecutor and current U.S. Senator Klobuchar is she's wrapping up her interview with Anderson Cooper. Then he goes over to the CNN chief legal correspondent, Ali Honig, who was a former U.S. attorney and stuff like that, and says, hey, will this lawsuit work to get ICE out of there? And of course, he says, of course not. No, it's stupid.
Me as well as I look at this.
Senator Amy Klobuchar, I appreciate your time. Thank you. Former federal prosecutor and senior legal analyst, Ali Honig, is here. Does this lawsuit have any chance of doing anything?
No, I don't think so. What they're asking, the state of Minnesota is asking a federal judge.
Wait, what? No? It won't do anything? You mean it's for show?
To throw ICE out of the state and to prohibit ICE from enforcing federal law in the state. There's simply no precedent for that. These lawsuits, Illinois and Minnesota both filed similar lawsuits, have no precedent cited in there. To do that would violate the Supremacy Clause, which says the states cannot block the feds from doing their federal duties. The one thing that Minnesota might get out of this, depending on the judge could want a hearing and could ask ICE some of the questions you just asked Senator Klobuchar about training and protocols. But they're not going to win, but they might.
They're not going to win. It's a show. It's a clown show. Why was Renee Good shot and killed? Well, there's two things I'm going to show you real quick. One is a video from Bismarck, North Dakota. This is a shortened version, and it's really serious. They come upon the scene, and again, little old Bismarck, North Dakota. They come upon a scene of a woman who's intoxicated to get a DUI call. She's in a minivan. She's white, not a minivan, but an SUV, just like Renee Good. She's intoxicated, and you're going to watch this. On the first time she comes at him, one of the cops says on the radio, he says, "She almost hit me." The first time when she almost hit him is when they should have shot her to stop the threat. You shoot to stop the threat, which is shooting the person driving the vehicle. They didn't. Because they don't, an officer gets hit horribly, and it's horrifying to watch. But this is what happens when they don't shoot when the vehicle comes at them the first time.
Get out of the car! Get out of the car! Get out of the car! 299, she almost struck me. Get out of the car!
Did you hear that? 299, she almost struck me. Also, if you look up at the top right, above the white car, there's two cars there. People are seen getting in and out of their cars. There's people there. There's so many people that could be killed by this woman who's allegedly drunk. Watch what happens because they didn't shoot her. He said 299, she almost struck me. That's when they should have shot the first time. Watch what happens when they don't shoot the first time. So you got people up in the upper right-hand corner there that are out, civilians that are in those two cars that could have been killed. You got a woman who's got 5 or 6 bullets in her. She died. And you got a cop that was hit. I'm going to pull it back a little bit, the video back a little bit. You got a cop that was hit. Watch it again. It's unbelievable, that poor cop. So she ended up dead anyways. But the cop was horribly injured. This is why you don't FAFO with the cops when you have a car. That cop easily could have been killed. Is he permanently injured? Is he permanently on disability? Does he have a colostomy bag because of internal injuries? That was a horrible hit. From 2,000 to 3,000 pounds of steel coming at him, highly accelerating, and he was blown back, as you saw, and he flew way back. How much you want to bet this guy could be? I don't know his name or his status, but that's how people get crippled or killed. They don't mess around. They should have shot her the first time, not because it's punishment, but because she is approaching them with a vehicle and not following commands and is going to hit one of them. That's what happens when you don't do that. Now, let's go to this. One more. Well, I want to show you another one, too. I remember this case. I talked about this case, and it's another example where you have this. In this case, you have it's racially charged because it's a black woman. She's pregnant, and she's accused of stealing alcohol from a store, broad daylight. The cops are called. They come out. You got one cop next to the driver on the driver's side, and you got one in front of the car. Yes, it is okay to get in front of the car. We don't allow criminals to be in charge of everything and go and please where they want to go. He's in front of the car, and she lunges the car forward, not horribly, but she goes forward at him, and he shoots her right there. Car rolls and crashes. Watch this. I talked about this. I backed up this shoot when it happened. Here we go.
Now to Ohio, where police body camera video has been released involving the death of a 21-year-old pregnant black woman. Nancy Chen has more.
Out of the car! Out of the car!
Newly released police body camera footage shows 21-year-old Takia Young, a pregnant woman, repeatedly being told by two police officers to get out of her car last week.
Out of the car!
Young, who is suspected of shoplifting alcohol at a nearby grocery store, refuses to exit her vehicle.
A total of 12 commands to get out of the car. 12 commands, doesn't do it. She ends up getting shot and killed. Watch.
They said, "Your stole stuff, do not leave. Get out of the car." Then get out. No.
Moments later, Young slowly accelerates toward an officer. He then fires once, hitting her in the chest. The officers chase the car as it rolls into a wall and immediately begin medical assistance. Young was later pronounced dead at the hospital. Her baby did not survive. Glendon Township Police Chief John Belford has placed the unidentified officer who fired the shot on administrative leave pending an investigation.
Despite being ordered to get out of the car more than a dozen times, she refused to do so.
This is why, when there is a situation, whether it be Renee Good in Minneapolis with an ICE officer. By the way, that ICE officer, these sick turds, these leftist politicians in Minnesota and nationally lying, saying that he murdered her. And they also lied and said he has no experience, he's not trained. You had Chuck Schumer say this today and others. He had 13 years experience as an ICE officer. He was with BORTEC as well, trained with BORTEC, the elite Border Patrol unit. They were the ones that went in and saved the kids at Uvalde and stopped the shooting and went after the terrorists when everybody else was afraid and not doing their jobs. That's another story we'll get into in a little bit. Not tonight, but another day. And before that, he served our country in the Marines. He served us in, I don't know what outfit he was with, but he served in Iraq. So he served in Iraq, comes back, or was it Afghanistan? I think it was Iraq. He comes back, and then he trains with Border Patrol and then BORTEC, and then he's an ICE officer for 13 years. This man is incredibly experienced. And they lie and they say he's not trained. They lie and say he's a murderer. And they lie and say you shouldn't get in front of the car. They lie and say he wasn't hit. They lie and say it was a hip injury. It's all a freaking lie. And I'm going to say it again. Officer Jonathan Ross, ICE agent, has now gotten $733,000. I'm going to retweet it again right now. Where if you want to donate, I'm going to retweet it right now because it's on my Twitter feed. And follow me on Twitter at Chris Crock Show. That's at Chris Crock Show. By the way, this podcast is on Rumble and YouTube are the best places to watch it. Go to Rumble and YouTube. Go to at Crock Talk, KROKTALK. I'm going to write this now. Give now if you'd like. And then I'm going to retweet the link to donate to the officer, Officer Jonathan Ross. They doxed him. The Minneapolis Star-Tribune, people said, how did they get the agent's name, the ICE agent's name who shot and killed Renee Good? They doxed him. It was the Star-Tribune, Minneapolis Star-Tribune, the big paper there, pretending like they were doing journalism. They weren't. They were purposely doxing an officer. So there he is. Give now if you'd like, and that's to donate to Officer Jonathan Ross. Bill Ackman, the billionaire hedge fund manager of Pershing Square Capital Management, donated $10,000 to kick it off towards the beginning. Here's another person. Patrice J. just gave $10,000 today. $733 raised. Keep it going. Let's get to $800,000. So there's that. Now I want to also do this. This I could have led with this. I'm extraordinarily passionate about this. Please listen to this very closely. This is in Dallas. We have this made national news though too. That you had a woman who works at the Hilton Anatole. The Hilton Anatole is a very nice, very nice hotel, and it's got lazy river and everything like that. I've been there. My family and I have been there. And a lady who works there as a parking attendant, she doesn't anymore, she's a college student, she doxed ICE agents. She took pictures, she filmed it, she got their license plates and stuff like that, or the cars at least, and she put it out there, and she got I don't know, a couple million or several 100,000 views on TikTok. She doxed the ICE agents. It came back around. They found out at the hotel, and the parking place fired her. But listen to this woman try to justify what she did. And by the way, before I even play this woman is a mental midget. She's also using her alleged faith in Christianity to back up doxing ICE agents. And that this woman has no idea about her faith in Christianity and doxing ICE agents. But the first thing I want to do is couch this, because we may forget this. And I haven't forgotten until I started digging into this more. We have had 2 terrorist attacks by anti-ICE people in Dallas-Fort Worth. We had, as you recall, 3 people shot, and 2 killed from a terrorist from North Suburban Allen, who tried to kill ICE agents, but instead killed 2 illegals because he was shooting up an ICE van as it was going into the Sally Port of the Dallas ICE facility. And this place is probably less than 2 or 3 miles away, but as the crow flies, from the Hilton Anatole to the Dallas ICE office. So there was a terror attack there where 2 people were killed and a third was horribly wounded. And then the terrorist killed himself on the rooftop. And then also separately in the same past year here, the ICE facility in Alvarado, Texas, just outside of DFW, in North Texas here, technically in the metropolitan area, probably you'd say. There's an ICE facility there where it's like a small prison holding facility, and there were a group of terrorists, Antifa terrorists, including Trantifa, transgender Antifa terrorists, 12 of them who went and shot up. They went on July 4th to the ICE facility for a terrorist attack. They spray painted ICE pig on the officer's car, the ICE officer's car, and then they shot off fireworks to draw out ICE agents so they could kill them. And they came out. And then, so instead of taking the full bait, though, the agents went right back in and called 911. Alvarado police showed up, and the terrorists then started unloading fire. They shot 20 to 30 bullets. They hit the Alvarado police officer in the neck. Under this context, this young twit, this moron, is saying, I'm a Christian, and she has a Bible. There's this from WFAA TV Channel 8. She has a Christian, she has a Bible. She says, I'm a Christian, my faith guided me to do this, to dox ICE agents. You are trying to help terrorists to go after and kill ICE. And she talks about my family and people in my community and their families, people and their families. What about the families of these ICE agents who are under terrorist attack twice? What about their families? And she says, well, my people, or she's talking about being Hispanic. Listen to me, There's 41% of this community in Dallas-Fort Worth where we live in. It's 41% Hispanic. She's Hispanic, my community families. Listen to me, If you were correct, then why have we not seen hundreds of thousands of Hispanic people where millions live? We have 7 to 8 million people here. So if it's 41% Hispanic, at least in the city of Dallas, why haven't we seen 500,000, 600,000, 800,000 Hispanics come out and freak out about ICE? And do what you're doing. You're a liar, and you're dangerous by doing this. And she was fired by her parking attendant place. I'm glad she was. Let's play this fool's. And by the way, let's hit the Bible stuff. She's mentioned her Christian faith, and she's got the Bible out. Romans 13 was written by Paul, St. Paul. Romans was. Paul is the most prolific author in all of the New Testament. And St. Paul, wrote in Romans 13:1 that if you obey the laws of the land, you have nothing to fear. But if you disobey the laws of the land, you have every reason to fear, because God gave the government a sword, for a reason. What he says is, God says through his word there, I install the government, even the bad government, for whatever reason. When President Hussein Obama was in charge for 8 years, for some reason God put him in there. We don't know all the answers until we get to heaven one day. But what God says is, I install the government. And if you disobey the government, you should fear, because I gave him the sword to thwack your head off or do God knows what to you. And this woman's claiming to be a Christian. You are fomenting, you're supporting lawlessness and no borders and crime. And God does love boundaries. Don't just take it from me, take it from my pastor, Dr. Robert Jeffers, who I'll have on the podcast in the very near future, I promise you. It's been way too long since I've talked to him on the air. Let's play the audio. This is from WFAA TV Channel 8. I've compiled all of her cuts, audio out of this piece.
I posted the video mainly because I was worried about the people in my community, but I just felt
worried about the people in my community. Well, where are the hundreds of thousands of people in your community, 41% Hispanic in Dallas? Where are the people in your community? They don't agree with you. They want ICE here.
Just felt like people's lives were at risk.
Yeah, people's lives are at risk. The ICE agents who you doxed, their lives are at risk. And in fact, I may not have said it clearly. She's fired as a parking attendant at the Hilton Anatole, and she doxed the ICE officers who were staying there. She said they're staying here. Here's their cars. See if this will, I gotta play this. Here you go.
A lot of people are just wanting me in jail and just wanting me dead, honestly, and I'm scared.
Do you feel like... Well, maybe the reason why people, and there's no justification for threatening her, maybe it's because you're a moron and you doxed ICE. Maybe you should have thought about that.
Do you feel like you put them in danger?
Honestly, I don't believe that I did.
Yeah, like, I don't believe I did, you know? Like, I mean, sure, there was 2 different times when the terrorists tried to kill them right here within, 30 minutes of where I'm sitting. But no, I don't believe I put them in danger because I'm a moron.
My intentions when posting the video was never to harm anybody. My community is...
You were doing ICE tracking, just like that guy was doing when he shot and killed 2 people and wounded a third, thinking they were ICE agents, but they were terrorists, and then shot himself in the head. This is who you're providing information for. Shame on you.
Community is showing up for me just like I wanted to show up for them.
Yeah, your community is showing up for you, all right. She actually did a GoFundMe, and she has $4,000 people have given her. She said people are reaching out to her for jobs. I wouldn't touch that woman with a 3-foot pole, a 4-foot pole. Shame on her. Shame on her. Where was I? Can you tell I'm a little fired up about that? Shame on her. It just makes me so mad. I got to tell you, I think the word moron is exactly what I'm thinking about with this one. I mean, she's a moron. She literally is a moron. She puts stuff out without thinking. She thinks she's helping, and she does something that's stupid. Even if that was my daughter, I would still be like, "What are you doing? Of course you're getting death threats. People go nuts over this crap. What are you doing posting stuff?" And second of all, it's law enforcement. You don't know this guy. Do you know his family? Is he your neighbor? The young moron putting stuff out on social media, not thinking, and then thinking she's a hero by doxing law enforcement officers. Hey, is she against that ICE officer? How many child rapists has that ICE officer cuffed and stuffed and got deported out of this country? Is she against that for him? Doing that? Is she against that too? What a fool. What an arrogant... I don't say arrogant. What a fool. What a misguided fool. I gotta take a breath. Okay. This is good. This is from the Daily Texan today. Texas law enforcement required to work with ICE by the end of the year. Effective January 1st, sheriffs must cooperate with ICE. If you are in a county with 100,000 people or more and you're a sheriff, you have to allow ICE to work with you, and you have to either do the 287G program, which is where you train one of your deputies when they check in people at the jail to run the ICE program to see, ICE's software to see if they're illegal. And if they're illegal, you hold them and you're going to hand them off to ICE when they're being released from jail. There's a couple other ways they could comply with the law. They can do an ICE task force, a joint task force, or jail enforcement, or warrant service officer model programs. I'm not going to get into the weeds on that, but this is great because cities like Dallas, and I got a lot to tell you about Dallas with illegals in just a second. You must hear, but places like Dallas are going to be forced to comply with this. And Chief Cuomo, who's I'll just say dorkbag. I wanted to say worse, but I'll say dorkbag. Chief Cuomo, he's a loser, and they never should have hired him, and he's an embarrassment and disgrace. We'll get into more of that in a moment. But this is some lady with Texas Immigration Law Council, the rabidly pro-illegal group. People were afraid to send their kids to school. Why were they? They weren't visiting restaurants or doing shopping like they used to be because they're scared. Why are they scared? Why are people not sending their kids to school in Texas? Why are people not visiting restaurants or doing shopping like they used to because they're scared? Why are they scared? Are they illegals? Then they should be scared. Get the heck out. You should be scared if you're an illegal. All right, and then here we go. We got more. Oh, and she talks about this pro-legal lady in this article with the Daily Texan also talks about this is going to cost. What's going to cost? It's going to cost money to do this, these programs, to work with ICE. How much is it worth to save somebody, a child, from getting raped? How much is it worth to get Lake and Riley back from the dead? How much, to not have her killed? How much would it be worth it to get little Jocelyn Nungaray back? How much would we be willing to spend to save that girl from hours of rape and murder from Trinidad Agua terrorists in Houston? What's the price on that? Imagine that's your daughter. No price. Now, the woke leftist police oversight board, Dallas Police Oversight Board, it's a disgrace. A bunch of wokelets who don't know anything about policing to save their butt, trying to question and stop and stymie the Dallas Police Department from doing its job. They want to know. Is the city of Dallas reporting ICE interactions? What are ICE's interactions with the city of Dallas? And Chief Cuomo says, no, I'm not going to tell you because I'm worried about harm coming to our officers. How many times we might be at a certain location, they might know the locations, videos could be circulating online. And this is in the Dallas Morning News. Videos have circulated online showing Dallas police officers alongside immigration agents. Listen to this. And this is why we will never have any situations like in Minneapolis. Never. Because we're in Texas. You don't hear anything in Houston. You don't hear anything here. You don't hear anything in radical San Antonio, where I fill in a lot and I have for like 4 years. You won't hear it here in our state. Because, here's your example. Even though Cuomo does not work with ICE, won't work with ICE, doesn't want to do, he rejected. The Trump administration offered him $25 million towards his police department if he would do 287G. He refused. He refuses to work with ICE. However, he explains that here's what happens. Dallas Police does do perimeter. If ICE calls for backup, if ICE is doing an operation and 50 woke idiots, woke-lit idiots surround him and harass him like in Minneapolis, ICE will call police. Dallas Police will show up and they'll do a perimeter and they'll protect them. That is why you don't have this crap going on in Texas, Houston, Austin, San Antonio. It doesn't happen because because they also know that the state of Texas under Governor Greg Abbott will not play with this. We will send in state troopers as well if they won't do it, and they're doing it. So they are doing perimeters, they are assisting, and then also they do work with, DPD does work with human trafficking and prostitution cases because, well, yeah, Tren de Aragua does human trafficking, sex trafficking, child trafficking, all sorts of stuff. But a little bit more of this from Fox 4 on this. Dallas Police Chief refuses to release data on ICE operations to the Community Oversight Board. Right now, he says, in this climate, Cuomo says, Chief Cuomo, one of the things that's most important to me is that I keep every single officer safe in the city. Now juxtapose that with this idiot at the Hilton Anatole got fired for doxing those ICE agents. I'll repeat this again and think about that fool, that young woman, that fool who got fired for doxing the ICE agents at the Hilton Anatole. Ready? Right now, Chief Cuomo says, in this climate, one of the things that's most important to me is that I keep every single officer safe in the city. What do you mean? You mean not letting people know where Dallas police are helping ICE? You mean we don't want to let them know because they could get hurt, harmed, or threats? But we were just told by this idiot from the Hilton Anatole, this girl, that she doesn't think it'll hurt anybody. No, I don't think it's going to hurt anybody. She's a moron. Once again, I go back to her. She is a flippin' moron now. And she played a big girl's game. Officers do assist federal partners when requested. Cuomo and the DPD said he confirms that, yes, they do assist federal partners when requested, typically by establishing a safety perimeter around an operation. See? And that's the difference between Dallas and Minneapolis. Dallas will protect the peace and the people and the ICE agents if they're doing their lawful job. They will do a perimeter. Minneapolis will not. They will not. And that's why they're having the chaos. It is a choice. Shame on these freaking bleeps from Minnesota that won't cooperate and won't help protect ICE, at least while they're doing their operations. This is all a choice. And the city of Minneapolis gets what the city of Minneapolis deserves. Chaos and horrible things. And it's their fault. I will argue it's their fault, partially, that Renee Good is dead, too. For not helping, for sending the message. Go ahead, swarm them, block them, obfuscate them, get in the way, do everything you want. We ain't going to help. Members of these Community Police Oversight Board in Dallas, members are now considering whether to escalate the matter to Dallas City Council to compel release of the information for when they're working with ICE. Kiss my butt on that is what I say. Let's go to Keller, suburban DFW Keller. This is great. The mayor of Keller. Let's just do this. The mayor of Keller. This is from the Star Telegram today. Fort Worth Star-Telegram. The mayor of Keller, whose city has been actively helping with immigration enforcement since last summer, had someone vandalize a relative's business with a 4-letter slur against ICE. In August, the Keller City Council voted unanimously to participate in ICE's 287G program. Like I said, that's when they check you into the jail, they run ICE software and they see if you're an illegal. And then they hold you and hand you over to ICE. Keller, one small suburb of Dallas-Fort Worth, has turned over, since they started doing 287G in August, they have turned over 11 illegals. Now, look, that sounds like nothing, but I'm going to tell you right now, one little old suburb in a population of 7 to 8 million people since August. So September, October, November, December, January. In like 4.5 months, they've turned over 11 illegals from one suburb alone. Think of how many more criminal illegals we can get out of this country if every place did this, or every suburb or city did this. Speaking of illegals and the harm they do to us, do you remember this vile, sick, conceited criminal bleep, a woman who was in a bikini who was jet skiing, I think on Lake Grapevine, and she allegedly crashed her jet ski into this beautiful 18-year-old young lady, Ava Moore, young black girl, and she was home for just a weekend. She had the audacity, as I like to say, using sarcasm. She had the audacity to come back and take a quick weekend break to be with her beloved family here in Dallas-Fort Worth. And she had the audacity to go kayaking in her own community on Lake Grapevine. And then she was going to go back, and she was a cadet, and she was going to be in the Air Force, and she was going to be a star. And this illegal girl was driving insanely recklessly. She's an illegal. She has no business being in our country. She's in Venezuela, and she allegedly drove that jet ski through and killed 18-year-old Ava Moore with her reckless, insane, and then she tried to escape. Remember that? The audience came around, the people on the shore came around and were screaming at her, yelling at her, and she ran away with another illegal, and he crashed into cars, tried to get her out and escape. They cuffed and stuffed her and him. They just offered her 20 years in prison in exchange for a guilty plea. Dykerlin Alejandra Gonzalez allegedly drove the jet ski that killed young Ava Moore, who was going to be a freaking general. The people, her teachers at the academy, the Air Force Academy in Colorado, said she was a rock star. She was straight A. She was a leader on her basketball team. She was a freaking star. Killed by an illegal. Could have been a 4-star general. Sorry, I'm ripping out my paper. I'm mad because this young little girl's dead. She's 18. She's a little girl to me. She's 1 year younger than my daughter. Good news out of Minnesota. Minnesota House files 4 articles of impeachment against Tim Walz. 4 articles of impeachment against Tim Walz. I'm just going to share one because it's like, I'm not going to read 5 pages to you here. This just happened today. They filed articles of impeachment in the Minnesota State House. Allegedly, they charged him with knowingly permitting the concealment of widespread fraud within Minnesota state administration programs. That's very true. Despite repeated warnings, audits, reports, and public indicators of systematic abuse, it states that the governor was made aware of this fraud through briefings, audits, agency reports, public findings, yet failed to act effectively. He allowed fraudulent activity to continue after credible warnings were raised, created or tolerated an environment where the disclosure of fraud was delayed, minimized, or obscured from legislators and the public. There's 3 other articles of impeachment. Impeach him. Now, the problem is the DFL party, which is the Democrat Party, Democrat Farmer Labor Party is what they call Democrats there, controls the state. So I doubt it'll go far, but I hope they can impeach him, have a trial. I don't know what the numbers are for the state house versus the Republicans versus Democrats, but I'm very happy to see that, and I hope you are too. What is the unbelievable and enormous cost of immigrants and immigration, even legal, on our country? It's bad. Just a few tidbits. This is from Fox News. In 2016, Harvard professor George Borjas wrote, "The higher cost of all the services provided to immigrants and the lower taxes they pay because they have lower earnings inevitably implies that on a year-to-year basis, immigration creates a fiscal hole of $50 billion. We lose $50 billion per year to having illegals in this country. They are a net loss." Ilhan Omar said of her Somali constituents, quote, "We have become nurses, doctors, and engineers." Not true in any way, shape, or form. From 2019 to 2023, the median Somali household in Minnesota had an income of $43,000 compared to the national median of $78,000. They're literally pulling in $35,000 less than their counterparts, less than almost half of what the average American does. That means they qualify for many federal benefits available to citizens and some immigrants. In 2024, a report from the Manhattan Institute says immigrants without a college education are a net without a college degree, are a net fiscal burden of up to $400,000. One illegal, or one immigrant, legal or illegal, without a college degree, net loss $400,000 in their lifetime. Somali refugees are way worse. 58% of Somali refugees don't speak English well. 39% have no high school diploma. 39, it's almost half. This is a massive drain on society. That translates into a heavy use of welfare programs. Somali immigrant households with children, 89% of Somali households with children use some kind of welfare. 89%. 86% of such families are on Medicaid, compared to only 28% of Minnesota households headed by native-born Americans, native-born citizens. So the native-born Minnesotans, under 30% are on welfare, compared to almost 90% of Somali. So that's more than double. I mean, that's triple. That's triple the number of native-born Minnesotans. Triple the number on welfare that are Somalis compared to native-born. More than 1 in 5 Somali men of working age are unemployed. 20% of every working-age Somali man is unemployed. 20%. More than half of the children in Somali immigrant households are below the poverty line, compared with only 7.6% of native-born. So over half Somali-born children, poverty line, below poverty line, compared to, we'll round it up to 8%. Half versus 8%. This is a wholesale disaster. It's the same thing in Denmark and Finland, by the way. Denmark, native Danes pay into the system more than they take. Their average immigrant from the Middle East, North Africa, Turkey, and Pakistan never pays more to the government than they take, and they're a net loss. Same thing in Finland. All right? Wow. Let's talk about Iran. It's very, very possible. Let me look at the screen, too, live. Uh-oh. Another ICE-involved shooting in Minneapolis. I'll have to watch that one. Here we go. Wow. Another ICE-involved shooting in Minneapolis. Oh, boy. Look at that. They're going to get ready to riot. That's bad. That's bad. I'll cover that tomorrow on the podcast, but let me just get into this. I was looking at the screen to think, there's a very, very good chance we're going to attack Iran tonight or tomorrow. All the indicators are that we're going to attack our bases. I've been told to be on high alert and or evacuate. Bibi Netanyahu's version of Air Force One was up and about today. Apparently went back, but it was up and about. Trump has said this: I can't tell you what my response will be about Iran. I know exactly. He said, I can't tell you what my response would be. I know exactly what it would be. I think he's coming for Iran. And we can do things that I support. Killing their communications, bombing IRCG, Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps locations, bombing where their leaders are, and other sites, cutting their communications, but getting more Starlink in there, funding people so they have the funds to continue to. This, by the way, this is in the third week. I think it's the third day of the third week. After 2 weeks, this is not a protest. This is a revolution. Now, whether it'll succeed or not, I don't know. Also, what happened today is Iran posted on state TV, they posted the picture of Trump where he was shot on the ear from Butler, and they said that this time, the message says something like, this time it's going to work. We're going to finish it, something like that. They said that today. I'll share the details in a moment. But here we go. It's up to 12,000 people. Actually, they're saying 12 to 20,000 people may be murdered now. This is the largest killing in Iran's contemporary history. Thursday and Friday, January 8th and 9th, at least 12,000 were killed. Let me continue on. This is from Iran International. In terms of geographic scope, the intensity of violence, and the number of deaths in a short time span, the killing is unprecedented in Iran's entire history. Based on information received, those killed were mainly shot by forces of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and the Basij. The Basij, I think it's pronounced Basij, B-A-S-I-J. That's their military, I believe, and or their police. The killing was fully organized. It was not sporadic and unplanned. More. And I'm going to read this from my buddy Eric Erickson. The president is urging Americans to leave Iran immediately. Vice President, Secretary of State, Defense Secretary, or I should say Secretary of War, and others met privately while the president was speaking in Detroit yesterday. They later briefed him on possible courses of action. They're considering more than just traditional airstrikes or missile strikes. They're evaluating psychological and technological disruption, including interference with Iranian media systems, television broadcasts, cellular networks, and other infrastructure. The goal to destabilize the regime's command and control from the Ayatollah down through the military and the secret police leadership. Iran may become a testing ground for some newer unconventional tools the U.S. has developed or attempted to deploy elsewhere, my friend Eric writes. He's weighing, this is from today, he's weighing, from Breitbart, he's weighing imminent military action against Iran that could come in the next 24 hours, according to Reuters via Breitbart. 12 to 20,000 civilians, it appears, have been killed. American producers, watch this, oil producers. American oil producers are prepared to be a stabilizing force, quote unquote, my buddy Eric Erickson writes today. If in Iran, the oil companies are prepared to be a stabilizing force in Iran if the regime were to fall, according to the head of the U.S. oil industry's top lobbying group. Now, from the Daily Mail this afternoon, this early evening, U.S. military intervention in Iran now appears likely. Could take place within the next 24 hours. American, European, Israeli sources preparations for possible action underway as Washington began evacuating personnel from its major base in Qatar. They're also evacuating Al Udeid Air Force Base in, I believe that's the one in Qatar. They're evacuating. Let me check on the Minneapolis possible Minneapolis second shooting. I'll tell you what I got real fast. Just because, here we go, ICE agent shoots a suspect after an ambush. I'm just going to read this to you real fast and react with you. ICE agent shoots Venezuelan national, so an illegal, in Minneapolis after shovel attack during ambush. Says DHS. This is the garbage these SOBs in Minneapolis, St. Paul are doing. This is what they're doing. Let me see, too, real fast. I might be able to put something up on the screen with you, okay? Stand by for this, because this is some bad stuff. I'll see what I got for a live stream to put on here. Okay. But let me read from Fox News. A U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement ICE agent is in the hospital after being ambushed during an attempt to arrest a Venezuelan illegal in Minneapolis Wednesday evening. Agent ambushed by two people while attempting to conduct a traffic stop on an illegal immigrant from Venezuela. The agent fired his gun during the alleged attack because he was fearing for his life and safety. Wow. Suspect ran back into a home, barricaded himself before being apprehended. Okay, so that's all we got. Pray for that agent. Pray for all of our ICE officers. Go in there and do the job. More and more, Surge. More and more and more and more. So there we go. Wow. Here's a little bit. I'll play just a teeny bit. Okay, I don't want to do too much for copyright.
That there was an ICE-involved shooting in Minneapolis. We go live to Alexis McAdams. She is live on the ground with the details. Alexis, I've just been looking at these images that we're just getting a hold of now, and we'll keep them up for our audience to see. It looks like things are, spiraling out of control very quickly there.
Well, Sean, that's the thing, is it ebbs and flows. So 1 minute, there's a small protest at the federal building. The next minute, these people with whistles and an agenda show up to these different sites across the city. That's what DHS has been saying. What we know right now from our colleague Bill Malugin, who just got off the phone with his federal sources, Sean, is that a man who was a target of an ICE operation from Venezuela, who ICE says was in the country illegally, was a target in this operation here in Minnesota. So they go to the door. That's when they say this Venezuelan migrant held up a shovel, tried to assault one of their agents. And you can hear those chants there in the background as protesters show up. That's when they say use the shovel to try and assault the agent. Shots were fired. This Venezuelan teen, we're told, was shot in the leg, expected to be okay. Bill Malugin telling me there's actually a picture that a source texted him of this guy on a stretcher smiling, kind of giving a thumbs up as he's taken away to the hospital. So we'll get more on what's going on there at the scene. But it's become aggressive here, and I saw it today when I was on the ground with law enforcement here, with ICE agents here in Minnesota. It's something we've been keeping an eye on as it continues to grow. But it comes as the governor here, Tim Walz, who's also under investigation in this huge fraud scheme here, Sean, just told people, hey, these are just our neighbors, and if you see them getting arrested, take out your cell phone and record.
All right, so you see this. You can also see the chaos here. This is all going on right now. It says 8:23. This is in the past hour then. Look at those crowds, those sons of bleeps. As an ICE officer is attacked with a shovel, look at those SOBs. They're harassing, they're screaming at, they're yelling at, and they're trying to attack ICE physically or at least verbally. And they're just doing their job to remove a violent illegal. And what do? They attack them, and they sympathize with the illegal. These are some real sick people. I'm grateful that I have all this new technology to go with you live on certain things because this is insane. I do believe there's a very good chance we're going to attack Iran. I really do. Pray for these our border patrol officers and ICE officers. I mean, look at these vile SOBs. They're enforcing law. These are radical leftist crazies that are being encouraged by Jacob Fry and Mayor Walz and the Democrats, all of them sick. This is the details on Iran with this vile threat to President Trump. I think this also might put some more spice in Trump to make sure he thwacks him tonight. But I know it shouldn't be about that. It should be about what's right. Iran issues sickening assassination threats against Trump. This time it will not miss the target, reports the New York Post from Iran. This time it will not miss the target, and they showed a picture of him getting shot. This aired on Iranian state TV. So, and by the way, Iran closed its airspace tonight. Trump says we've been told the killing in Iran is stopping. I think Trump's doing what he did last time when he attacked Iran. I think he's doing a rope-a-dope, acting like everything's fine, relaxed, and wham! That's what he did last time when he ended temporarily ended their nuclear program. A few other things real fast to share with you. I'm so glad you can see that violence in the background of these people, these crazies, just to see what's going on. Hey, I've told you that these parents who freak out about school shootings, worried about them. I know they rivet all of us, and we all think about our loved ones being shot and killed, our kids. I know that, but these people that are over the top paranoid, and they say don't get rid of my kids' cell phones at school because they're going to get shot and killed and not have a way to, a place to go to or be able to call me or call 911. That's all BS. Here we go. I've told you this is statistically true. Your child has a greater chance of getting struck by lightning than they do of being in a school shooting. That's factually accurate. So I've told you that if you're really worried that much about your kid being shot at a school to the point where you're doing unrealistic or stupid things that I would call stupid or unrealistic or over the top, then you should get yourself, before you worry about your kid getting shot in a school shooting, get your child a lightning suit because they're more likely to get struck by lightning, so you better be careful because they're going to die from getting hit by lightning. That's more likely. Now, let's add to that. Let's add to the flavor of that. School shootings took 40 lives in 2022. The school shootings so it goes in 2022, 40 lives were ended from school shootings. In 2023, it went from 40 to 21 lives. Then in 2024, it went from 21 to 18. Last year, 2025, 7 died in school shootings. So it goes 40, 21, 18, 7. Pit bulls have killed more people each year than in school shootings have since 2022. And the dog bite fatality numbers are increasing. So before you worried about your child being in a school shooting getting killed, worry about a pit bull attack. They're more likely to die from a pit bull. And then secondarily worry about a lightning strike because they're more likely to die from a lightning strike. Get them a pit bull proof suit and a lightning suit. Let them wear that every day. Then you can talk to me about school shootings. As a serious, again, it's serious to all of us. It's riveting and it's compelling, and we should be concerned about it. I'm not belittling that. But the people that freak out about this unrealistically and want metal detectors, which are stupid and a waste, clear backpacks do not help. They actually hurt, according to 2 different experts that were on WFAA TV Channel 8 that they interviewed, one from one of the universities in Georgia and one from the former chief of police for Dallas, who went on to be he went on to be, I think, the former chief of police for Dallas ISD, the school district. All the studies show that they are useless. They actually provide a false sense of confidence, and they don't help. Eric Adams, this is great. You have to see this. Eric, did I download this one? No, I thought I did. Here's Iran. Let me show you Iran tonight. It's just amazing. That's Iran. Thousands of people getting shot and killed, and yet they risk their lives. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. I wanted to see if I can find this Eric Adams, who was in Dallas Fort Worth. He flew into Dallas Fort Worth and he got off his plane. Some lady was yelling at him and swearing at him, and he cussed back at her. I thought I saved the video for you, but I don't think I did. Sorry about that, but I was going to play it for you. It's really not much at all. The dispute happened after Adams threatened a woman who booed him. So he gets out playing, gets booed. And then in the video, somebody's recording him walking off the plane, and she's in front of him, and he says, "You're going to see the Brooklyn in me," and then she's cussing him out and saying all sorts of nasty stuff. Well, I guess neither's right, but what a turd this lady is to be attacking him. What did he do to you? You don't even live in New York. She's obviously a crazed leftist, because you wouldn't hear that from a middle of the roader or a right-leaning person. Even if you don't like the guy, it doesn't matter. Even if you think he's a dirtbag, people that are on the right or in the middle aren't going to attack that guy. That's some crazy leftist lady who's mad that Trump pardoned him. DART, I love this one. DART would end services. For those who are not in Dallas-Fort Worth, DART is the Dallas Area Rapid Transit, the mugger mover, the jail rail. DART would end services immediately in cities that vote to leave. Right now, voters in 5 North Texas cities will have until May 2nd to decide whether to leave DART altogether. This is the best blessing you can get for your community. If you can not pay DART and get out of DART, they will not stop in your community. What that means is the mugger mover, the jail rail, will not stop and bring criminals into your community. Best thing you could do is get out of DART. Highland Park, University Park, Irving, Farmers Branch, and Plano. It'll be almost immediate. They'll kick them out, and I think that's great. What I do know is this. There's one of the DART lines where I'm at nearby, and what they bring in is homeless, panhandlers, and criminals, and that is a fact, period. Another blow. Hats off to Mayor Eric Johnson, the fake Republican who is never above using the race card, loves to play the race card because he's thin-skinned, and he's a fake Republican who only turned Republican after becoming elected the mayor at Dallas as a Democrat for his last term he could run. Switched to being a Republican. He's a fake Republican because he wants to run for a statewide office and knows he can never win as a Democrat. Thin-skinned mayor who he played the race card. So he is a disgrace to me, but also he is the one who oversaw losing AT&T. 6,000 to 10,000 employees gone. He's the one that oversaw the crime in Dallas, downtown Dallas, getting worse and worse to the point where the Dallas Morning News editorial board condemned how horrible it is and was. He lost AT&T, and now comes after that. He and the city council and the city manager also now comes that building that AT&T was in. It's called the National. I just call it the AT&T Tower. Is what I always call it. It has now declared bankruptcy or foreclosure. There you go, foreclosure, which is going to be worse and worse. And by the way, Dallas has the second highest rate of vacancy of any downtown. The only city in the country that has worse vacancy rates than downtown Dallas is downtown Seattle. Freaking Seattle, the cesspool hellhole run by a communist mayor and a little turd communist mayor who's having her parents pay for her to live. Guess what that means? I film in Chicago a lot. I'm from Chicago. Guess what? Chicago's downtown vacancy rate for office buildings is better than ours. Great job, Mayor Eric Johnson. You did a great job. Yes. You saw, you're a Republican. Let me hump your leg. No. Yeah, that's good enough right there. So, I got a couple of real quick things here. Dallas Police. Speaking of Dallas, City of Dallas Police, we only have 3,286 sworn officers. We are 736 short of what we need. We're almost 1/4 short of where we need to be fully staffed. Almost 1 freaking quarter shy. Great job, guys. Trump and the economy. I'm going to play this. Greg Ip is a Wall Street Journal columnist. Greg Ip. And he's deep in the financial weeds. Greg Ip was on where was he on? He was on today on CNBC. This guy is not a Trump fan. He says a lot of stuff. He's not nasty about it, but he says a lot of negative stuff about Trump. He wrote a column today called "Trump Wants to Run the Economy Hot. There's a good chance he'll succeed." Look at Greg Ip on CNBC for the first time I'm ever aware of. He actually is praising Trump for the most part. Listen to this.
I'm very optimistic. More new highs, good GDP, closed southern border.
Joe, I'm with you on all those positives. I'm not disputing any of those. And the inflation number is one more reason to be optimistic. I think 2026 is going to be a very good year for the economy and the
And
markets.
And the markets. So he thinks 2026 is going to be a very good year for the economies and the markets. What? He's and I'm not knocking him. He's not personal about it, but he's almost always negative on Trump. So that's a massive new development from somebody who is a financial guru who writes in the Wall Street Journal, has probably for as long as I've been subscribing to it, 8 years. I don't even know. Quote, Greg Ip writes today in the Journal, President Trump is taking unprecedented steps to run the economy hot, and there's excellent chance he'll succeed. Fiscal policy, monetary policy, credit policy. All three of these are dialed towards stimulus. Trump and congressional Republicans on faster economic growth. They hope that they will deliver victory in the November midterm elections. I was saying this, and I've been saying it publicly, we all know it. If we don't get this economy where people feel good about it within the next 6-7 months, we're screwed for the midterm. Totally screwed. A little bit more from Ip in the Journal today. The first reason to be bullish on 2026 is that 2025 was remarkably good. Even if many Americans disagree, he says. Gross domestic product adjusted for inflation probably grew around 2.5%, in line with the solid pace of the previous 2 years. So the baseline for growth for 2026 should be well above 2% GDP. This year, average tariffs aren't going up. They might go down if the Supreme Court says some were imposed illegally. Meanwhile, he says that's good. Meanwhile, the tax and spending bill Trump signed into law in July, the big, beautiful bill, delivers new or expanded tax deductions, in particular for state and local taxes, overtime, and tips and seniors. Although those tax cuts were retroactive in the start of 2025, tax withholding tables were adjusted at the start of this year. This will generate a double-barreled stimulus. Many workers will see both higher take-home this month and a refund on last year's taxes when they file their returns. Policy analyst from Piper Sandler sees this injecting nearly $200 billion into the economy, enough to boost first-half annualized growth up to 0.5 percentage point. So there we go. Things are looking up. Pray for that officer tonight, the ICE officer. Pray that he gets fully healed, and pray that they get protection and safety. So they can continue to get these dirtbags and these horrible violent illegals out of this country. All right. God bless you. Thanks for following. We'll see